So we did a recent poll on our YouTube channel, and guess where parents are going to learn about homeschool stuff?
I don't think that's very hard.
Dare I say social media?
Yeah.
It is over 60% put social media.
Yeah.
And then there was about 15% or so that was other, and 15% that was like family and friends kind of thing. Only 4% of these new families that are homeschooling are getting their information from conventions these days.
So I know that back in the day is not a necessary phrase to say here, but when I was teaching my kids, that's where I would go to find out things. And I loved to a convention. You know, social media obviously was a whole different deal, but I wanted to get my hands on it, and there were things I had decided maybe online, but then getting it there, that was the tipping point.
Yeah.
Or that you saw on paper in a catalog, but you want to see
Right.
it in
Right.
We understood.
You saw it chipped on the stone tablets.
Exactly, yeah.
Come on.
That change is interesting, though, isn't it? I mean, we couldn't have imagined back then. My oldest is 27, and I looked so forward to those conventions. But to think that social media, so, you know, Facebook and Instagram and all these things, and
The TikTok.
there can be some great things about that, but there are some drawbacks to getting your information on social media too, right?
I mean, you're hearing from one parent who used one product. That's one thing, right?
Yeah. Right. And there's algorithms. So you're going to see things that, you know, are trendy, that are out there. It may not necessarily
Popular.
be what's popular, what's
Yes.
best for your unique child in your situation, your family.
Yeah.
And we can, you know, we get so drawn to that thing, everybody's using this, must be great.
Right. Tell me what's hot and trending as opposed to.
Yeah.
So how can a parent, like, obviously we're going to talk about conventions today, it's on our mind, but how can a parent go from looking at the websites and looking at social media to what's that mean to me? How can I determine what's a good
I think we have a good method
filter?
for that.
Yeah, I love the family way that we came up with,
Yes.
and each of those stands for an, you know, it's an acronym. So
Yeah.
each of those stands for a concept that you need to consider.
Yep.
You know, your faith or philosophy, the approach that you like. You know, and I was
Classical, traditional,
right,
Charlotte Mason.
Mason. I was a big Charlotte Mason person. And classical too, but I didn't want to do it for everything.
Right.
You know, so I when you get to math, that was a whole different deal for us.
So that's F and A. What's M?
Money, right?
Gotta
the
consider
cost
your
of
budget.
things and how you also that affects other things, some other choices that you make, your individual child, and I think that's probably one of
one.
the biggest things,
Yeah.
right?
That's a big one.
It's hard
It's a
to
big one.
know how your child is going to respond to that curriculum.
How do they learn best?
Because some kids are just like, anything works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can use
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
And then you've got the kids who need some of the special methodology out there, whether it's a
yeah.
dyslexia
Right.
or a vision issue or a fine motor, so many different things going on. So FAMIL, what's the L?
Lifestyle.
And what's going on in your life?
Yeah. And so,
What season?
what season of
That
life
can make a
you're in.
big difference. You might have a season where you are taking care of an aging parent, or you know, or grandma and grandpa need more. They have more doctor's appointments, or whatever it is.
Baby in the family.
Oh yeah, or somebody's sick.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That changes everything, right? And then
Or
if
a
you're
move.
or if
Sometimes
you're
a move.
spending a lot of time with the beginning skills,
Yeah.
right then that's a big deal
Yeah.
too.
Because that's taking a lot of your energy,
Yeah.
and the Y is for you,
Yep.
the parent teacher, because
Yeah.
how much support do you need?
Yeah.
How much time do you have with each child? Do you need to combine kids in science and social studies? You know, what are things that you can do to accommodate what your needs?
The method that I used that I loved, and it was, you know, my top choice, I couldn't do when I was doing long distance caregiving.
Yeah.
And then when the parents moved in, that
Changed
would-
everything.
Changed everything.
Yeah.
You went
Yeah,
from
multiple
very
levels.
Charlotte Mason interactive discussion read aloud
Very
to
dependent
needing
on
something
me
to
and being there. Yeah,
independent
and then
for
you
a
guys
while.
gotta do this.
Carry
now.
a little
so
weight.
Yeah, so that was a big upheaval, but it's hard to know those things,
Yeah, it
I
is.
think, until you get your hands on it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
And sometimes you just find yourself in one of those spots. You don't plan for it, and all of a sudden you're going,
Surprise!
well, this isn't going to work this year. I've got to figure out plan B now. Because
I love it when we get the moms who are expecting a new baby and they're trying to get their whole
Yes.
everything worked out right before this baby
yeah.
comes.
Been there,
Yeah.
done that.
And they get it, and we have one gal, I love talking to her. She calls and the baby's here, and I'm like, well, I thought we had it all decided what we're doing with your 5-year-old. I thought we had this, we talked it through, and then when the time comes and the baby's there, that's just, we got to adjust
It's different,
things.
I
It's a
think.
lot of fine tuning.
Yeah.
So when you see somebody online and something looks just fabulous, oh, I love that. It's a
Yeah.
little bit like having a friend telling you something looks great. That doesn't
course.
necessarily translate to it's right for me.
yeah, it's
gotta
like when you see a
figure those
cute
things
shirt or a
out.
cute outfit, and you're like, that's
Yeah.
so cute. And
On
then you
her.
try it on, and you're like, oh, it really doesn't look good on me.
Why don't I look like the model who's 5'9" wearing a size 3?
Right, exactly.
That's a really
Yeah.
good analogy, actually.
I mean, but I do love the family way, and I think that when we're at convention, we just came back from a convention.
We did. So
Which was
Nancy and I
awesome.
were just in Ohio, which is usually in Cincinnati. This year was in Columbus due to construction. Back in Cincy next year. But I think we had the same crowd. That's a
great.
big crowd.
Yes, it's great.
And
It's
we
great
got
convention.
a chance to see meet with so many different families and kind of walk them through. You do it casually as you're just talking to them, and they're coming to you maybe like, I don't even know where to start. I'm overwhelmed because I'm walking in this vendor hall and it's just overwhelming. There
Their
might be
heads are gonna
100 booths
explode.
there, and it's like, where do I start? And I love it because we can so quickly help them narrow down to what they really want to look at, and I love that. We have good tools.
Well, and often I would go with a friend, but even that friend
Yeah.
might have similar tastes to
Yeah,
mine or
right.
similar goals, but they've got different kids,
Different
different
learners.
learners,
Yeah.
all
Yes.
of that stuff.
Yeah,
and so it's
exactly.
really a helpful tool, even if you're just starting on social media and then you transition,
Yeah.
is this going to work? Is it going to fit all of these things? If so, great. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Hey, speaking of social media,
Yeah.
I saw a fella
You
that I
did.
follow on TikTok. And I got a picture with him at the convention. That made my day.
You were so
Nick
excited
Freitas.
about that,
He was so gracious. Yeah. But there is a gal that I follow. She's in Florida. And I just think, wow, she's got really good information.
Yeah.
But she's also using things that aren't particularly trendy. She's using CLE, Christian Light Education, for
Yeah.
reading, and loves it. And she goes, I'm not getting, a benefit
This is not
endorsement.
an
Yeah, it's not a
endorsement.
paid endorsement to use it because that publisher is not a social media type publisher.
No.
They're not mainstreamy.
Right? Not at all.
So then you hear about, the same ones over and over. And it's like, is popular really how you want to pick stuff? No. The answer is no.
Right.
I think one of the things that is so great about being at a convention is like the atmosphere and the community
The
that you're
connection
getting.
with other people.
Yeah.
Because we get
Don't
into
you feel
our
like you're being by yourself a lot
You
of
do,
times?
and
when-
I think even if
when
you're
you're
in co-ops,
homeschooling?
and even if you're in, whatever it might be that you're getting together weekly, in the day to day, I think oftentimes we're running into little things here and there that we're trying to kind of navigate as we go, but we put these things on the back burner and think, I got to figure out what to do about that, and I got to figure out what to do about this. And sometimes I think as a parent, especially, we start to feel very alone. Like, is my child the only one that's struggling with spelling
I hear
this
that all the
much?
time with people that call in.
They feel like they're on an island because, in the day to day, it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot that you're doing, and it's important work, but sometimes it just feels like, oh, there's so much that rests on my shoulders, and it can feel heavy.
Yeah.
And I think going to these conventions and hearing from speakers who are encouraging you with like,
It's so good.
what you're doing matters, and it gives you that clarity, because I just think in the day to day, we've got a million voices vying for our attention,
Right.
in our own homes, let alone when we walk outside.
Or
That's a good
in my
point.
own head,
Or in our
actually.
own heads. Exactly. Right. So being able to go and hear from speakers that are reminding you, what is your reason for doing this? What is your purpose? And helping to clarify that mission and that goal of like, yes, thank you for bringing me back to the plumb line of what I know, why I'm doing this.
I would use them as a way to recharge.
Yes.
It was like a Teacher Institute day
Yeah.
weekend for me, to
Yeah.
recharge and also to be encouraged and just to be to get outside, be able to look at my own situation from a different
broader perspective.
Yeah. And that community aspect is so missing now in our lives, especially since COVID. You know, we've forgotten a lot of that community stuff, and I think that that's a really important part of being part of a group, or be at least meeting with other people who are doing. Or I had one customer call, and she was actually. She was saying that she met with an older woman regularly to help her with the
mentorship.
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah. And it was cool.
You know, the other side of going to conventions, besides the wonderful speakers and workshops that really just fill your cup, is the vendor hall.
Yeah.
And, you know, the vendor hall, it's not like going to the state fair and you're picking up the free I mean, there's lots of kids walking around picking up loot. But the parents, I mean, like a lot.
Yeah. I think they look really forward to that. Like,
backpacks.
that piece of candy and that
Can I have that? Yes, you can have that. But what you find is publishers who can answer those deeper questions about how to use their particular program. So you're looking for a new math and you find them. You're also going to find things you weren't looking for. You're going to find universities. And you can find out about dual credit or what, you know, how to apply for a university as a homeschooler. And then you've got the vendors who are like the cash and carries. We've got
local
Miller Pen and Paper and
organizations.
Home Science Tools are two of ours that come to mind, and these are people that Rainbow has traveled with over the years. Now, our booth, once upon a time, was a cash and carry. Now we have tables and chairs. We have materials, about 3,000 different items. And they're by grade level. Some of you might cringe at grade level, but it's a communication tool, y'all.
Absolutely.
It's communication. Think of working at a first grade level or at a fifth grade level. It's just a measure mark for us to go forward. But then you can also find us. So we had 4 consultants at this convention. In fact, we're going to have 4 in Pigeon Forge.
Florida.
And in Florida. How about?
Coming up soon.
I think we have 3 in Richmond.
I'm not sure.
3 or 4 in Richmond.
I think 3.
So we are another resource.
Yes.
Not to toot our own horn,
but
we're
you know,
here to kind of point you to what you're after. You know what I mean?
I do
and say, here's
love
your
what we
zone.
do. Because I think I could have benefited from that when I was homeschooling.
Absolutely.
To be able to walk in and say, okay, here's where we're at. This child is struggling with this. We've tried this curriculum and I'm just not sure. Maybe there's nothing for us. What can we do? And I love that we have so many different resources to offer that we can say, okay, let me ask you some questions. Let's try to get to the bottom of this and see what are some things that would be a good fit for that child. We have so much to offer. And I love our samples. The other thing I think we get a lot of compliments on is our tables of people being able to spread out.
Just sit down and rest, for one thing.
Well, I like
Sit down
that.
and rest. Sometimes you just need to sit down and rest.
Yeah.
But being able to pile this spelling program and compare a lesson to this
side by
spelling
side.
program and see, okay, you know, from looking online, I just could see the cover and a few pages. So it was really hard for me to tell. But now I'm sitting down and I really like what those lessons look
It's
like.
practically impossible to see the full curriculum.
It really is.
On any digital.
It's so hard.
Right.
Yeah. So it gives you that
Yeah.
opportunity to explore, you know, all the resources and compare, contrast, what do you like about this one, and really get an idea of what a full lesson is going to look like.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've heard in the booth, like, ooh, I thought this was what I was going for, but
Yes.
I do not like that one. Or, oh, I do like this, you know, and it just like the light bulb went on, and that's really helpful.
Well, and what to retouch what we talked about a minute ago was sometimes they come in and they're like, I'm going to do this, and it's one of the popular things, right?
Yeah.
I'll say, oh, you must have a struggling learner. No. Okay, well, tell me what attracted you to this. Well, my friend's using it, and that's cool for your friend. But just know, and sometimes, you know, you feel like you're just destroying their plan, just like,
As
right?
kindly as possible.
As kindly as possible,
Not
but
like
also better to think about it. Because my thought is, okay, let's say they've got their mindset on this. They come to our booth and I say, oh, you might like this one that they'd never heard of before.
Yeah. Happens a lot.
And if they go back to the one they came in with, at least they know, okay,
What else is out there?
what else is out there, and what is this program doing that maybe another one
Yes.
doesn't, where before they were just picking it because it was trending and popular. And
Right, exactly.
And actually, this is a live version of what we do when people chat in or when they call.
Yeah.
You know, and we're comparing and contrasting for them.
Definitely.
But
yeah.
it's really great to do it face to face, I think.
You know, I really love too when we get return people back to our booth.
That was really fun this year. We had quite a few.
We did, and one of my favorites was Miss Nikki. She comes. She's got a 12-year-old who's struggling with some stuff. She's got a 8-year-old, 7 or 8-year-old, both girls, who was just a little flibberty gibbet. She was here, she was there, she was everywhere, and I'm like, we're teaching her. Okay. You know, seeing it in person, I'm like, okay, I see what's going on.
Yeah.
And then we also took the book contest.
Yeah.
That got a bunch of
it
interest.
did.
That's super fun. You can watch for that. And you know, you had that nice couple who was just getting started.
They were so sweet. They reminded me of my son and daughter-in-law. And you know, it encouraged me, and I know it encouraged them. And just that mutual encouragement, you know, they came and they said, we didn't know what we were going to find. First year homeschooling, have a kindergartner this year, 2 younger kids. And they said, it has been such a blessing to be able to be at the Rainbow booth and be able to sit and compare curriculum and to have somebody to just bounce ideas and thoughts off of. But also, they were so new to this that just being able to encourage them with what they're doing. They had some obstacles in with family issues
From the family.
and just different things that were tricky to navigate. And I think they went away very encouraged. And
That's
so
good.
it was
And
neat.
just confident in their decision.
Yeah.
Yes. And
to
it
go
also
forward.
encouraged me just in my, you know, with my son and daughter-in-law, just thinking, you know, I want to support them in the decisions that they make and really help them to feel like, hey, I'm here for you. But like, we don't want to, you know, so many tricky family situations to navigate. And so just being able to encourage the people that come to our booth and send them away feeling encouraged with what they're doing and listened to and heard is a blessing.
I think we all need more encouragement, right?
We do. Yeah.
Doing life is hard.
It is.
And doing life with your kids and teaching them is hard.
It is. It
right?
is.
And
Yeah.
we need that. We need that.
We had a
support.
lot of families this year with kids that were struggling with dyslexia, like a ton.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a program in Ohio, so some people were on this program, a little funding stipend for that. But
Yeah.
I feel like there's more kids with dyslexia than
Yes.
ever.
It seems like it. So that was neat to be able to help them navigate. Here are some things that could really help you with that. And a lot of times people will say, well, they haven't been diagnosed officially, but here's what I'm seeing. And so just being able to point them towards some resources that might be helpful, some of which we carry and some that maybe we
You
don't.
talked about
but-
the Diane Craft, and then we get to see what's new too.
Yeah.
I saw that grooved handwriting, and
Yes.
I want to sell your
Really neat.
stuff.
Yes.
I got to get with marketing on that.
Yeah.
And that was really cool because
So
that's
cool.
got the ink that disappears, right?
Like in 15, 20
Yes,
minutes.
that was really neat.
So you can use it again for the next child.
So there's that benefit
Yeah.
of getting to broaden your horizons. You know, we only know what we've heard of, and we get there and our eyes are open
Yes,
to all
and
these
there's
new
so many
things that we
more.
didn't know existed, you know?
And then we got to connect. Like there's a new Humanitas from Classical
Yes,
Academic
Classical
Press.
Academic Press. They're
Yeah.
amazing. Loved connecting with them. And the new medieval history is coming out. Well, one's going to be out very soon. That's the early medieval. And then the late medieval is coming out this fall. So beautiful book. They had the
You can find these on our
only
website.
copy that exists at this point that we got to go and see at their booth. So the networking is really fun. And getting to
Yes.
hear the passion behind the products when you talk to the vendors
Yeah.
is so amazing. You
Oh,
know?
Flip Flop Spanish was there. The ABC
yeah.
Here
Yep.
Do was there.
Oh, yeah.
It was
That
so
fun
fun.
to see. Yeah.
And I think that's what's really cool because you can hear directly from them their inspiration, how they use it.
Yeah.
And so as a parent, that's a really cool thing.
So, what do you guys think are some of the reasons that families might be dissuaded from going to a homeschool convention? Since we're finding such a small percentage that are getting their information, what do you think some of the reasons are?
Well, I think COVID knocked a lot of stuff down. Now, attendance was
Yeah.
going down prior to COVID,
Yeah,
and then
it
COVID
was.
kind of put a kibosh on things.
Yeah.
So attendance has built back. I felt like this year's attendance was amazing.
It seemed really good.
Cost
Yeah.
is going to be something to consider because
Yeah.
you have hotel and
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
whatnot.
Yeah. And even when mine was, like 20 minutes away, as I got older with my kids, I had this tendency, I got this. I know exactly what I'm doing now. And I wish I had continued going, because I went as things were new, or we were looking into high school. That was scary. So I knew I needed that. But I wish I had continued that for the
for your own
community's
sake.
sake, for my own sake. And I did use it like Teacher Institute weekends. You know, I needed to be recharged, and I needed to look at things from a fresh perspective.
Right.
People do bring their kids, and sometimes there's a kid program.
Yeah,
I feel like more and
great.
more. When our kids, when our older kids were young, there was nothing like that, and now they've got all these great kids.
The wagons. They're getting. It went from a rolly cart. The milk crate thing.
That's true.
To a stroller with stuff under it.
Yeah.
And then you're carrying the kid, and you're using that as a shopping cart.
Yeah.
And then like the big stroller. And now they're like big rectangle things.
They are, yeah.
I think I could fit in one.
They fit a lot in those suckers.
And you're like, is there a kid under there?
And you're just so busy with everything else, and it's hard to make that commitment.
It's hard to make that time. I think cost-wise, it's important to remember, like, early bird registration does save quite a bit with
And
a lot of these
family-
conventions.
family.
And you can bring your own food, which
Oh, for sure.
I mean, so
Lots
many
of people
families are doing
picnicked.
that. You got large families
Yeah.
coming, so to eat out is very expensive for them.
Yeah.
But bringing your own food is usually welcome. And hotels, I think accommodations you can find if you look way ahead of time. If you plan ahead, you can find good deals.
You know, there is something else though. Sometimes the homeschoolers who are not as Christian, like, or maybe they're Christian but they don't want stuff with Christian, don't see themselves at a convention, like they don't think there's anything for them. There were so many things. It was a really good mix.
It was a nice mix.
It was a good mix.
Well,
Now
the
there are some
population
shows that are
nationwide of homeschoolers is much more diverse than it was even 10 years ago. Statistics are showing us that, and there are people doing homeschooling for so many different reasons. Besides just a religious or a personal values, you know, there are multiple reasons, and so we've. You shouldn't feel uncomfortable going to.
I mean, our booth has stuff. We mark it with an S for secular, an N for neutral, or a C for Christian. With our little icons, so it's easy to identify. But you can also ask us. You're not going to offend us, certainly, by saying, "Do you have a science that's not Christian?" Sure. I've got a whole shelf of them, and a lot of the supplements are not particularly Christian.
We have such a nice variety.
Something for every philosophy. And
I think it's good too. I think with people walking in and feeling overwhelmed with the convention hall or with the exhibit hall, I think it's a good idea to look ahead and see who's going to be there and have your list. You know, have your list of vendors you think you'd like to visit. Have your list of items you think you might want to sit down and look at. That way, it helps you to narrow in, because if you just walk and you just wander.
Everything looks good.
Everything looks great. So to have in mind ahead of time some goals, not that you can't flex from that a little bit, but to know kind of what you're looking for.
Because you only have so much time.
You do,
right?
And energy. It's
energy.
exhausting. It's exhausting. It's a long day.
Yes.
I almost wanted like a little mini convention after the convention, so I could like decompress.
Like a spa day or something.
So I could a spa day. Although I'd be asleep, but like an extra day where I could just process all that information.
Well, and a lot of parents on that third day are looking, they have their eyes are glassed over. Like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm just on overload. You know, I'm trying to make decisions on what I really need to get. And I think that can be tricky, you know, is really prioritizing what do I really need to go home with. And we always tell people, you don't need to come and make a decision the first day. Come and talk with us. We're going to be here for the whole convention, and think about it, you know, talk to us, ask questions, come back tomorrow and ask more questions. You don't have to buy things on that first day.
You don't even have to do it during the convention, honestly. So that's why we give little coupons.
We've got a coupon that's good for 60 days.
But I think there's buyer's remorse.
It feels stressful.
It's stressful
to figure out these things so quickly.
You're like, am I making the right decision? Give yourself time.
Yeah, exactly.
So go in with a plan.
Okay.
Set a budget.
Yep.
Give yourself grace.
Always. That's like, let's move that up to the first.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's number 1 instead of number 3.
And give yourself time to let it all the dust kind of settle from
Yeah.
the experience, because you're going to, take lots of pictures of products and things that you like,
Yeah.
and go take your time going back through it. And
And we're all going to be at a convention, each one of us.
yeah, so Rainbow's doing 4 this year,
Yeah, yeah.
which was Ohio, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, Richmond, no, Kissimmee, Kissimmee, Florida, and then Richmond, Virginia are the ones we're going to be at. And you can find that schedule on our website. I hope we get to see you.
I would love
Come
to
and say hello.
meet you. Yes, please.
One thing we ought to bring up is that we do have a lot of workshop videos.
Oh, yeah.
That were workshops we
If you can't go to
presented at
those
these
If you
homeschool
can't make
conventions.
it, check out our
Check 'em out.
YouTube.
Yeah, definitely.
Made them
There's some
very
good stuff in there.
accessible.
Yeah.